What's going on, Hobby Link International? My name is Ben and welcome back to the bench for a brand new episode of Ben Builds the B-Wing. Today we're going to jump into this model, we're going to crack into it, see what we can do. I have lots of ideas here. I want to go ahead and test fit some stuff. I want to drill out some openings, add in some fiber optics, put in some LEDs, just really jump in and have some fun. Let's go ahead and get started. So first thing I want to do is I need to go ahead and check out the cockpit and figure out what's going to be switched out for this special edition. And once I kind of get that squared away, I want to go in and just do some test fitting and figure out how everything goes together. I'm kind of a visual builder, so I like to kind of get everything together, try to dry fit as much as we can, and then we can figure out where to go ahead and drill to get our fiber optics where we need them to go. So let's go ahead and jump in here to a time lapse, and I want to work on the cockpit test first, do some detailing, do some drilling out for different areas, different switches and panels, grab my fiber optics, string them around. So let's jump on in, see what we can do, guys. Let's have some fun. All right, we are back, everybody. So far, that has worked out beautifully. I went through the cockpit. I figured out where everything goes and how it kind of fits together. I actually have two different size fiber optic cabling. I've got 0.75 millimeter and I've got 0.28. Those are super small. They are perfect for tiny 1/72 scale cockpits. So I was able to add in several of those around the different consoles, and then of course in the instrument panel, and even some behind the pilot. Now for the LED, I'm going to be using a flat topped 3mm 3-volt LED. Just have to go ahead and figure out where everything goes and get it all hooked up. Like I mentioned, I used two different diameters of fiber optics, and now we have to go ahead and set up a lighting source to go ahead and get everything lit up. To do that, I need to figure out where to put the actual bulb. Now, one what I'm going to do first is I'm going to actually take some styrene strips that will act as a ledge or like a shelf. Once I kind of have that squared away, I can then glue the LED to that. So it's not going to move around too much. It won't be loose on the inside. Everything stays nice and secure. Hook everything to the light source so that we have a full cockpit nicely lit up. Now I'm going to go ahead and glue this down to the inside. There's already a flat spot there, so this fits right up where it needs to go. I'm going to give it a little bit of pressure. I use some Mr. Cement S. That's going to go ahead and work just fine. We'll trim it down. We'll get it all nicely kind of tapered down at the end there. Put on the back cone. That's going to fit right into place. So I should go ahead and trim it down just a little bit, and then we can go ahead and glue the LED to the bottom of the shelf, and then all the fiber optics get put right into that LED, and it should illuminate everything in the cockpit. So that's actually pretty decent. Now, I was always taught growing up, you measure twice and you cut once. So that's what I'm going to do here, guys. I'm going to be real careful. Just snip off the end of it, taper down the edge, get a little bit of a blunt point. So with that being said, I think it's time to go ahead and move over to the painting booth. We're going to go ahead and do some painting. I got to paint up that figure. I've got some references for a B-wing pilot, so we're going to use that. We're going to get this guy all nicely painted up. Then I want to go ahead and add in all the basic colors for the cockpit, add in any sort of detailing, add in some dry brushing, get this going, and then maybe drop the pilot in. Let's go ahead and grab some primer, grab some paint. Let's push on. All right, everybody, so we are back, and so far, man, that was a lot of fun. We went ahead and did all the detail painting there in the cockpit. We have most everything right about where I want it. We used some very nice basic colors. I used some dark sea gray for the overall tone of the cockpit. I used some accent washes here and there with some Tamiya panel liners, as well as some Army Painter soft tone. Did some detail painting with NATO black, and then I came in with some white, red, and some green for switches and dials and whatnot to kind of pop some of that detail. A little bit of dry brushing with some sky gray also really popped all the details, and I think it looks pretty good. Dirtied up just a little bit, and we can move on now to the lighting for the LED. Now for our LED, we're going to be using a 3mm flat top 3V LED in bright white. So it's going to be a little bit more on the blue side of the spectrum, kind of a cool LED. I've used these before on other projects. I've never burned them out, and I've been running them straight off a 3-volt battery pack. So I think we're okay. Again, I'm new to the whole soldering and electronic aspect here of modeling. This is actually probably the 5th or 6th model I've ever tried to put any lights in. It's a learning curve for sure. So I might make some mistakes going forward, but you know what? I'm learning and I'm having fun, and that's what it's all about. So let's go ahead and jump into our last time lapse of the day, guys. We're going to go ahead and work on the wiring. I want to go ahead and pre-tin all of my wires. I want to go ahead and solder everything together. Then I want to shrink tube everything so I don't make the mistake and short out my system. And then I want to go ahead and do some additional painting, clean up the fiber optics, paint all the fiber optics, a little bit of some clear red, clear yellow, all the different clear colors, and then hook those up to the LED, hot glue the LED to my shelf, and then we'll close up the cockpit and we'll see how it goes. All right, guys, let's jump on in there. Let's see what we can do, and we'll be back and I'll show you guys what we come up with. All right, everybody, we are back, and man, that was so much fun, guys. We now have our completed cockpit and rotating capsule. It's all set up, ready to go. I've got my LEDs in there. I've got my fiber optics going as well. Everything is painted, and as you can see, we've got it tacked into my power supply. Let's go ahead and click that battery down, and as you can see, it does light up. So pretty cool. Get you a quick close up here and you can see some of the details. You'll notice we have some different size diameter fiber optics. We've got a 0.75 and we've got a lot of the 0.28 millimeter. So that's actually really, really cool. We've got different colors as well. I tried to do some red. I tried to do some green. The green didn't hold up as well as I would like it, but the red and the basic bright white worked out perfectly fine as it's tinted slightly blue on the color spectrum. So you can also try to get you a little bit of a low light situation here so you can kind of see it is pretty bright. Like the cockpit is definitely going to be bathed in some interesting looking colors. So I'm actually very happy with how this has turned out. I don't really paint pilots all that often, but glad he's turned out as well as he did. Next episode, we're going to have to come back and figure out how the rest of it will go together. This fits down on the top portion right here. This wire will come straight out the bottom of it and it will go into our center portion right here where the engines will be. And I think that's going to be a good place to go ahead and make our connections. Plus, I did cut a slit in the bottom of the capsule, so it does allow the top to rotate about 45 degrees to the right and to the left. So as long as I don't rotate it too far, it won't kink the cable, I won't damage my connections, and it should be able to come down here for the power as well as for the engines. And I think we'll be good to go. One thing I will say though, we actually have two, floodlights in the very front of the B-wing. And I don't really want to go ahead and light those. That would just be so difficult to get a light in there to cut out things and do a little kit surgery. I don't really want to mess with it. So we're just going to deal with the capsule up at the top here, the cockpit, and the 4 engines. And that should be decent enough. So I think honestly, guys, we are looking pretty good. We've got everything running, everything works. So I'm pretty happy with it. We got everything painted. So next episode, we'll come on back and we'll try to go ahead and move on and see how this thing all fits together. So until then, guys, thank you so much for joining us. You know the drill. Go out there, get yourself some bench time, have some fun, build something cool. Make sure to come on back for episode number 3. We're going to push on, work on the hull, maybe tackle the engines, see how it all comes together. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care of yourselves and we'll see you soon.